I got accused of being on drugs when I was in nursing school. When I was in my second year of my nursing degree, I had my first ever hospital placement and I went to the transplant ward. So my placement went for 4 weeks and I was so nervous already because I'd never been a student in a hospital. All of our previous placements were at aged care facilities or community facilities for our mental health placement. The other students that I was there on placement with, I wasn't really friends with them and I didn't know anyone too well. So I was so nervous and it was our first day and that particular ward in transplant did handover with the nurses as a full team. So everyone on shift that day would go around to each patient's bedside and there would be a handover given. So we're about halfway through handover and the nurse unit manager decides that he was going to come and join us. And he comes and stands right next to me and started talking to me and everyone else was listening. And he proceeded to say to me, "Your pupils are really big. Did you have a big night last night or did you take something this morning that you shouldn't have?" All the other nurses and even the patients just burst out laughing. And I remember just honestly feeling like the walls were closing in on me. I was so embarrassed. And then he just looked me up and down and walked away before I even had a chance to say anything. One of the girls that was the other student I was on placement with came up to me and asked me if I was okay, and she just told me to ignore him. And I literally just felt this rage come over me and I thought, no way, like it is my first day here. I've got to spend the next 4 weeks here. I'm not going to let someone talk to me like that. I don't care if he's the manager. I just really didn't give a crap. So I decided to follow him to his office. When I got to his office, I honestly just lost it. And I just said to him, "Don't you dare ever speak to me like that." I said, "You are so disrespectful and rude." I said, "The fact that you did that in front of the entire nursing staff, my fellow students, patients," I said, "that is so unprofessional." I said, "If you ever speak to me like that again, I will be reporting you and I will be taking it further." I said, "You owe me an apology." After I was finished rambling and yelling at him, I just stormed out of his office. But I honestly hate in nursing how there's this culture that you can speak to your students like crap and get away with it, or act like they're the shit kickers and aren't there to learn anything. I had had so many experiences in my uni days going to placements with horrible nurses and horrible people above me just being so rude. It's honestly so discouraging as a student, and I know so many people that actually dropped out of their degrees because they were just so over it and they couldn't deal with it anymore. I think that's why throughout my career, both in the hospitals and in injecting, I do always take on the facilitating roles and managing and looking after the students. Because when I was a student, I promised myself and I swore that I would never, ever, ever be condescending or mean to a student. I always made sure that I was helpful and that they felt safe with me and that they could talk to me about things and come to me for anything. So that was my biggest goal, and I always decided if I ever turn into a person who does become like that, then I'd be leaving this career. I never wanted to become a bitter, old, sour nurse who's just nasty and hates her job. And it was always said in uni that it was character building or it was just part of the process or you'll laugh about it one day, which yeah, that's so fine to say, and I do laugh about it now when I look back on it, but it should not be like that. It shouldn't be a rite of passage to be treated like dirt or treated like someone's slave for your entire 3-year degree. Some of your placements, you're there for 8 weeks. I remember some placements dreading every single day of it. It's so exhausting. It's so draining. You're being tested and quizzed about your knowledge all day, every day. And then to have people on top of that treating you poorly is just so overwhelming. So back to the story, once I came back to the ward, I started just resuming my normal day. I was taking patient vitals, doing meds, everything like that with my buddy nurse. And then I saw the manager walk over to me and I thought, oh God, here we go. I'm going to be asked to leave or he's just going to scream at me in front of everyone. And to my surprise, he asked me to come to his office so he could have a chat with me. And when I got into his office, he was just so apologetic. He was like, "I'm so sorry. You know, I wasn't thinking before I spoke. I feel really bad. I didn't mean to do that. And I promise I won't do it again." Tried to essentially talk his way out of it. Essentially, we just ended on fine terms. I said, you know, thanks for the apology. You know, I really appreciate it. But as I said, if you want to talk to me in future, you can request a one-on-one through my facilitator or come and speak to me and we can talk in your office. He said he thought it was just something funny to say, and he just really did notice how big my pupils were, which I've had this comment my entire life. I've always had really big pupils. I remember when I first turned 18 and me and my friends would go out to bars or clubs, I'd say about 60% of the time, even if it was early, I would never get let in because I would always have really big pupils. Even if we were going out for like a Sunday sesh during the day or anything, people and bouncers would always comment on my pupils, or even when I would get in somewhere, people would always ask me if I had any drugs, or they'd ask me what I was on, which, you know, fair enough. I didn't really care if it was in a social situation, but being in a professional environment and a place where I was at work and I was a student was just too far. But the industry needs to change, and that should not be accepted, and it should not be a normal thing that everyone should experience, because I don't think I've ever met a nurse who doesn't have a story like that, which is so sad. I know a lot of nurses can think that students are a pest, or that, you know, things take way longer with them. Look at it in a way where they're helpful. They're helping you, and they're going to be helping you in the future as well. So utilize them and utilize them for their strengths. That is my makeup all done for the day. I'm just going to set under my eyes a little bit more. Unfortunately, I do have so many more stories like that from when I was at uni and when I was a student nurse. So if you would like to hear any more, feel free to message me. Or if you'd like any advice or tips and tricks while you're in uni, please don't hesitate to send me a message. But have a good day and I'll see you soon. Bye!
Get ready with me to go celebrate Christmas with my husband's family. If you saw yesterday's video, you're probably like, huh? I thought you said they celebrated without you. Well, they did. So my mother-in-law, father-in-law, my husband's two brothers, their wives and their kids already celebrated, like exchanged gifts and everything the day after Christmas. And my husband and I had no idea they were doing that. We literally found out because I opened Facebook and saw a picture my mother-in-law posted of all of them together exchanging gifts. My husband and I were just kind of like in shock because a similar situation happened last year, but kind of a little bit worse. And we were like, is this really happening again? They left us out and didn't even tell us. So we were like talking throughout the day yesterday, trying to decide if we should say something or not. But my husband is just like the type of person where he is just so non-confrontational. He would rather just completely ignore the situation than speak up and say something to hurt his feelings. So that's when I came to y'all and explained the situation, and everyone has been saying like, you need to say something, either you or your husband need to like tell them that that's not cool. And I completely agree. I highly doubt my husband will say anything, but maybe like if that was my family, I'm Italian, we would immediately be in a screaming match. But like we would figure it out and be fine 5 minutes later. But I just honestly could never even see my mom and brother doing that to me. So I know it has to be hurting my husband's feelings more than he is letting on. After talking to y'all, we decided, okay, we need to say something. We just got to figure out the right way to go about it and just how to communicate it without like starting a fight. So in the midst of talking about it last night, his aunt texts us and says his grandma wants us all to get together like we were supposed to and do like our Christmas Eve redo tonight at 5:30. So basically what was supposed to happen on Christmas Eve, my husband's mom wanted us all to come over for brunch, like me and my husband, his two brothers, their wives, and their kids, so that it would be just like the immediate family and we could exchange gifts a little more like privately. And then the rest of the family, like grandma, aunts and uncles, all the cousins and everything, were coming over for dinner on Christmas Eve. So it was going to be a really long day. But we knew it was important to her, so we were fine with it. She kept saying, all I want for Christmas is my boys and their families all in the same room. And it just makes it all the more irritating that she's so hell-bent on us all being together until a certain two people can't come. Then it's okay to leave two people out. But yeah, long story short, we're going to be seeing them today, but there's going to be like a lot of people, his grandma, aunts, cousins, everyone. So I highly doubt there's going to be an appropriate time to say anything. Wish us luck.
My mom just served me meat, and she knows that I've been pescatarian for 4 years, so you're probably gonna say, oh, how did you not know, whatever. So what the fuck, I'll just fucking tell you. So whenever she decides to make me something, I'm always super hesitant, and she typically will make 2 dishes. Like usually if she's making a dish with meat in it, she'll just make meat, whatever it is, just without meat, right? And so today was just, my hand's fucking shaking. This is useless. God damn it. And you know, today I was just kind of hungry, so I was like, okay, whatever, I'll eat this pasta. And then, so I start eating it, like 4 bites, and I was like, okay. I didn't notice too much of a difference of like how it usually is, because I don't remember what like meat tastes like, so I was just being fucking stupid, actually. So then I start moving like the fork around, because I was getting suspicious a little bit, but I just like wanted to be wrong, you know what I mean? Like, I'm such an anxious person, and I just jump to conclusions so quickly, and I just wanted to be wrong. So I start moving the fork around, and behold, there was like dark brown pieces, and I was like, oh, this isn't regular pasta. And then not even like 2 seconds, I had like a bite still in my mouth, because I was checking still, and I was like, I'm not gonna swallow this last piece if that's the case. It was the case. And then I just threw up. I spit out what the fuck what was in my mouth. I put the plate in the kitchen, and I went to the bathroom, and I threw up. And like, it wasn't coming, I just stuck my fingers in the back of my, you know how it goes. I threw up. And so she saw me go to the restroom, and she asked my sister like what happened, and my sister explained that there was meat in the pasta that she made me. And then the first thing that she said was, which one of you put it? Like, as if my siblings cooked it. So, the end.
My boyfriend and I met when we were 14 years old on vacation. I was going into high school, and he was already in high school. He was a sophomore. So originally I saw him at the pool, and I thought he was really cute, but I would never say anything to him. So at the resort, there was this cliff that people could go on and jump into like a 14-foot pool. And I was on the top of the cliff, and my brother was basically harassing me. So I turned around, and I like screamed at my brother. My boyfriend was behind my brother, and he literally looked at me and said, "That's kind of rude, don't you think?" So in my head, I was like, what the hell, like, did this guy just say to me? So I just jumped off the cliff, and that's it. Now, over the next few days, my boyfriend started to hang out with my brother, and he also had a little brother, and they would all hang out. I would just chill with my mom, mind my business, but like low-key, I was looking at him. One night, my brother asked me to go into the game room and hang out with my boyfriend and his brother, and I decided to go, and I just sat on the couch, and that's when my boyfriend came up to me. Mind you, I was already annoyed because of our first interaction. So he comes up to me and is like, "Hi, my name is Rourke." And instantly I was like, what kind of name is that? So as he was introducing himself to me, I was texting, so I would just look up at him and I'd be like, "Hi." He'd be like, "What's your name?" And I'd be like, "Christine." And then he'd say, "Where are you from?" And I was like, "New Jersey." So basically I kept giving him one-word responses and was barely acknowledging his existence, and he finally just walked away. Go to part 2 for the rest of the story. Story time of how I caught my ex-boyfriend cheating on me. Y'all better be ready, because this one is good. So I started dating this guy when I was 16, turning 17. We were friends first, and I even knew his friends and I knew his family. And he's actually asked me out once before, but I said no because he was a player. And so by the time I turned 16, I said yes to dating him. So things were really great at first. I was really into him, and we would go on so many dates, and he was super sweet. And there were definitely signs, but I totally missed them. And I'm just not the type of girl to like go through a guy's phone. I noticed he was super active on Snapchat, which is never good. One day he posted a Insta picture, and I looked at the comments, and there was a girl in the comments, which is fine. Girls can definitely comment. I am not a jealous person, but she had left a comment that said, "You're so hot," with a bunch of emojis. And these emojis were all hard eyes, guys. But a part 2 to see me blend this out and to hear the rest of the story.